In this video, we'll be going over finding the missing angle inside of an isosceles triangle. Now, before we go into that, let's review the definition of an isosceles triangle. And all it is a triangle that has two sides and two angles that are equal. So sometimes you'll see these two markings, and what this tells you is that this side and this side are equal. So if this is 5 feet, this is also 5 feet. And because these two sides are equal to one another, we also know that these two bottom angles are actually equal to one another. Now, for a moment, we're going to imagine that this angle right here is 120 degrees. And we're going to need to find the missing angles for right here and here, so our two bottom angles. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I know that my triangle has an interior angle of 180 degrees. Now I'm going to subtract that by 120 degrees, and the reason I'm doing that is I want to see what's left over. How many degrees are left over inside of our triangle? So we see that we have 60 degrees equally split up between these two angles. So in order to find out what the measure of each angle is, I have to take 60 degrees and divide that by 2 because we're sharing these degrees between these two angles. And I'll see that each one of these angles is 30 degrees. And I can also check my work by seeing if 30 plus 30 plus 120 is 180, and it is. So I do know that I have a correct angle measurement. Next, we have an isosceles triangle with one side being 32 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to first take 180 and subtract that by 32. We want to know what's left over. We're going to have to do a little bit of borrowing here. And we're going to get 148 degrees between these two leftover angles, right? And now what we'll be doing is we'll be taking this 148 degrees and dividing it by 2 so we can split it evenly amongst our two angles. And we should get that each one of these angles is 74 degrees. And again, if we add 74 degrees to 74 to 32, we should get a total angle sum of 180 degrees. Lastly, if you'd like, you can try this on your own before you try the worksheet. We have an isosceles triangle, so we have two sides that are equal to one another. Again, we have two angles that are also equal to one another. And if you'd like, you can pause the video, try this on your own, but we're going to start this in just a moment. So if you want to try this on your own, pause it now. All right, now that you've had some time to try this on your own, what we'll do to solve for our missing angles is subtract 180 by 96, since our interior angle sum is 180 and we know of 96 degrees. We're going to have to do a little bit of borrowing in order to subtract. 10 minus 6 is 4. We'll have to borrow again. 17 minus 9 is 8. So we know that each one of these angles, or not each one of these angles, but together each of these angles will add up to 84 degrees. Now to figure out the angle measure for each one of these angles, I need to divide this by 2, and we'll see that each one of those angles is 42 degrees. So if you feel comfortable working on this, you may work on your worksheet. If not, please feel free to raise your hand, and I'll be there to help you out with the assignment. Thank you very much.